Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for our 10th race of the season, the first season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. Getting ready to go racing here today for all you old school drivers. This is Pikes Peak International Raceway, and we are getting ready for the Peak Performance Motor Oil 400. Coming off the heels of an exciting Michigan race last week, which saw our first multi-time winner, J Lopes, go to victory lane. And that's going to be very important, I think, for Lopes, especially as we near the end of the regular season, because it's a 26-race regular season. And the likelihood that we're going to have more than 16 drivers go to victory lane during the regular season is pretty doggone good. And so with that being said, drivers are going to be really fighting tooth and nail that have only gone to victory lane once this year to try and get up there as high as they can in the point standings to have their win count towards a playoff position. If you're someone like J Lopes near the end of the season and you've got 2 wins in the bag, you leapfrog all those other drivers that have only 1 win, and you have yourself a basically guaranteed spot in the playoffs, provided you stay in the top 30 in points. So you got to wonder if other drivers that have already gone to victory lane this season, if they're looking at that and saying, boy, I'd love to have that sense of security as well. You got a lot of them starting up here towards the front of the field. J Shelton starts off second, our Phoenix winner. Our Springfield winner, D Poteet, starts third. Our Sonoma winner, William Brock, there in 5th. And K Friesen, our Daytona 500 winner, starts up inside the top 10 and 8th. So I think these drivers are kind of trying to answer that challenge. The gauntlet's been thrown down by J Lopes, and they want to pick it up. Michael Norman becomes the 10th different pole sitter on the season, so our clash field for next season is definitely filling up, as he will line up on the pole position here today alongside of J Shelton. We will be at the end of the All-Star race, when we get into the span, what I call the chase towards the chase for the championship, before the green flag drops, we'll be showing you a graphic showing you what your playoff standings would look like starting off that race. Well, coming into this race, as far as our playoff standings goes, Michael Norman comes into this race in that 16th and final playoff slot. So obviously, he'd love to be able to get a victory here today and ensure himself a spot in the chase for the championship. We'll see if track position is going to be a factor in today's race. Let's go down trackside and get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And so as the command is given, let's give you a little bit of an overview of what your playoff standings would look like verbally. J Lopes obviously would have the number 1 seed, being a 2-time winner. He'd be joined by race winners Jesse Turner, William Brock, D Poteet, K Mathews, K Friesen, J Shelton, and J Millz, who has managed to make his way up into 24th in points. So right now his win back at Las Vegas would count towards a playoffs. I'm sorry, at Manassas rather, would count towards a playoff position after he had that runner-up finish to his teammate last week at Michigan. That's 8 drivers, so 8 drivers get in via points at this point in time. They would be Zach Rogers, Benny Watson, J Qualls, Levi McIntire, Julius Anderson, Ryan Brommer, Diego Yepez, Charles Sandfer. Okay, I thought Michael Norman was in a playoff spot, but apparently he's not. He right now would be 3 positions outside of a playoff spot. So my apologies, I did the calculations wrong. Maybe he was in a playoff spot last week, and I'm remembering that. But anyway, thanks to my memory, we are Green Flag Racing here at Pikes Peak. Let's roll. This track is a little bit over a mile in length, 1.060 miles. So it's kind of similarized in terms of track length to Phoenix. J Shelton, who won at Phoenix, started in the 2nd position. Although this track is really nothing like Phoenix in terms of its banking and whatnot. And we're under caution already. First lap and first caution. Well, that's a little disappointing, at least on my point of view, because Pikes Peak, most times that we come here, it usually is good green flag racing. And Ryan Brommer caught up in this early incident as he came into this race 9th overall in the points. And the points leader, Jesse Turner's involved. Someone's smoking. That's A Garcia. A lot of smoke on that race car. Of course, Peak Performance Motor Oil sponsoring the race weekend and sponsoring both the 12 and the 22 here today. And so both of the cars out of Young Motorsports looking for a good run. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think that Jesse Turner had to actually let A Garcia be in front of him because they crossed the line with the 12 ahead of the 47, and Garcia can't even see where he's going. Well, Jesse Turner last week had the driver Jordan Lopez go to victory lane for a second time this season and start cutting into his points lead, and now he finds himself with a damaged race car. He could find himself losing the points lead. V Almariego on pit road. Oh, last week's runner-up, J Millz, has gotten involved as well. And J Qualls as well has got damage in the 11. He came into this race 6th in the point standings. So caution is out for the first time here today. And a couple of drivers running really well in the point standings. 1st, 6th, and 9th involved in this wreck. Michael Norman leads. Let's go back and look at a replay. Well, our first caution of the day starts up just inside the top 15. This is J Qualls going up the middle. And I think he thought he had K Mathews cleared. Oh! Qualls didn't start it. Ryan Butcher did. Ryan Butcher got K Mathews in the left rear quarter panel and turned him down to J Qualls. So it was the 24 that triggered this wreck. And then Mathews slides down right in front of Adam Garcia. Oh, and both of the peak performance cars got involved there. It was Mitchell Collins who flipped the 12 over. Oh, Benny Watson gets involved as well. That's 4th in points coming into this race. And he may have already taken his car back behind the wall before we even got to cycle through the field to see who was collected up in the wreck. There's Jesse Turner. Let's see how the points leader got collected. Oh, there was actually another incident coming off turn 2. And I don't think this had anything to do with the wreck earlier. It looks like there might have been some bumper grab there between Mitchell Collins and Jesse Turner. And they were 5 wide coming off this corner, with Sandfer, LaPlante, Millz, Jefferson, and Turner. There's just no way that was going to work. And LaPlante goes up and squeezes Turner into the outside wall. There's Millz spun around. He gets hit by somebody. Oh, Ryan Brommer. So that's where the 9 got his damage. There's Turner there, squeezed up into the wall. And there again is where Benny Watson gets into Mitchell Collins. M McIntire got a piece of this wreck as well. Cole Baker may have gotten a slight piece. Dylan Young comes to a stop. So we actually had 2 wrecks as Mitchell Collins flipped over also. 2 of the Young Motorsports cars, the 2 Peak Performance sponsored cars here at the track that has that sponsor sponsoring the race, both went airborne on the first lap of this race. That is strange. Oh my goodness, Cole Baker did get involved. Oh, I think he was the one that actually flipped Mitchell Collins over, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So Baker, who had most of it missed, right there, he gets involved. So we had a lot of drivers involved in this one. And there is Adam Garcia, who went airborne, and Mitchell Collins also flipping over. You can't script that. That is really weird that the 2 cars that are sponsored by the same sponsor that sponsored the race both went upside down or airborne here in the first lap of this event. Oh, and then Jesse Turner got sideswiped, looked like by Dylan Young over here in turn 4. Let's make sure that nobody hit him. Oh, Baker almost did. That looks like he's okay. Alright, so we are under the caution for the first time today. 2 different wrecks that all kind of culminated into one big wreck over in turn 3. Let's go back for the restart. As leader Michael Norman hits the line, we should be receiving the 1 to green signal, and we have 4 drivers out of the race already at this point. Teammates Adam Garcia and Mitchell Collins, as well as the Toyota Camrys of Benny Watson and Cole Baker. They will finish 37th, 38th, 39th, and 40th in today's race, and all of them didn't even complete, I don't think, the second lap of the race. So that is a tough break for them. Not the way they want to start out today's race here at Pikes Peak. What's going to take the biggest hit in the point stands as a result of that is Benny Watson, who came into this race 4th overall in the point stands, and I believe 10th on our live playoff grid. So Michael Norman Motorsports will line up 1-2 for the restart. Michael Norman over Dylan Poteet. William Brock is 3rd. Seth Cole 4th. Shelton fell back to 5th. Then it's going to be Ryan Acosta, Carter Friesen, Carson Gum, Wyatt Quail, and James Shelly. So the early departure for Cole Baker. His other 3 teammates, though, restarting up inside the top 10 as the green flag is back in the air here at Pikes Peak on lap number 6. Well, let's hope that that's the last we're going to see of a caution flag, at least early on in this race. Pikes Peak usually known for drivers having really good racing all the way through the field, but being able to keep it together. And as soon as I say that, they nearly wrecked right there for second place. They can run 3 wide, usually, as long as they give each other room off of the corner. And they're going to be 3 wide back here again. That's R Acosta, J Shelton, and D Poteet. Oh, this is a little hairy off this corner. Shelton was right on the left rear of William Brock. As now R Acosta is going to move into 3rd place. Seth Cole trying to close up the gap between himself and the race leader, Michael Norman. That time closed it up by about 0.2. And here comes the stand-up to cancer Toyota Camry, hunting down the Walking Dead Chevrolet Camaro. Should mention that we are not running the 2019 rules package here today at Pikes Peak, but obviously we're seeing that the draft is definitely coming into play in this race. As Seth Cole gets right up to the back bumper of Michael Norman. And he might want to do something soon, because here comes R Acosta. And now he might make it a 3-man fight. J Jefferson coming off pit road. He got some damage from the incident back on lap 1, so it looks like they brought him to pit lane. I don't know if we're in the fuel window where Jefferson would be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel without having to pit at least one more time. Should bear in mind that nobody came to pit road under that caution, so they will all still have to hit pit road at some point in this race. And that's going to be very interesting too, because this is a very unusual track as far as the pit road layout. This track's got access roads. It's got an access road here in the entrance of turn 3 to come to pit road, and it's got an access road coming off of turn 2's exit for exiting pit road. And we're going to see if drivers all come to pit road at different times. We're going to see drivers trying to safely merge and safely get down onto pit road, and we could see intersecting traffic. It's almost kind of like a highway where you try and swap from one lane to another lane. You want to make sure that you clear the other cars. And that's going to be something that these drivers are going to have to deal with if we end up having green flag pit stops, which right now we're settling in, it looks like, into a long green flag run, as D Poteet now makes a move for the 2nd position on R Acosta. Seth Cole had a decent run last week at Michigan, moved up to 26th in points as he's leading the way. R Acosta, he comes into this race currently 28th in points, so that's 2 drivers right there outside the top 25 in the standings that could really use a victory here today, and both of them trying to get the first win of the season for their respective teams. Backmarker Motorsports yet to get a win, same for Joanna Atwood Motorsports. D Poteet has not yet been able to clear R Acosta. R Acosta's got a good car on that outside line. He's been able to at least hold on to battling with Poteet for 2nd place. And as they're battling, they're actually reeling in Seth Cole. You'd think that battling side by side that they would actually be losing ground to the 77, but they're actually gaining ground, as Poteet might have Acosta cleared here off turn 4, and I think he does. Well, not quite. Acosta's still to his right rear, but I think Poteet's going to have the advantage down here into turn 1. Norman, the pole sitter, riding back in the 4th position now. It's like his car, the handling going away a little bit. And how about Zach Rogers charging his way up through the field? He's now up to the 5th position. We saw Jesse Turner got involved in the first wreck of the day, so he's damaged and a little bit off the pace. That opens up the door for drivers like Jordan Lopez and Zach Rogers to maybe try and make a charge to take the points lead over. Rogers came into this race 39 points back, so he would really technically have to win the race in order to have a shot of taking the points lead over into next week. But right now, he's got a fast enough car. I think he could do just that. He just took 4th place from Michael Norman. Carson Gum, another of the Backmarker Motorsports Camrys, up here trying to get into the top 5 now. He's currently in the 6th position. He's all over the back bumper of Michael Norman. J Shelton right now under fire from William Brock, a couple of former winners this season. Shelton winning at Phoenix, Brock at Sonoma. This is a battle for 7th. Then behind them, you got Wyatt Quail with a rear decklet full of Jack Mitchell, who comes off his best career finish last week, a 3rd place run at Michigan. Right now he is in 10th as Ryan Butcher, currently in 11th. He's the driver that triggered the first wreck of the day back on lap 1. J Shelly currently runs in the 12th position. Here comes Matt Haas in the 8th. Matt Haas has been a bit of a surprise last couple of weeks with good runs back at Sonoma. He finished top 15 there. He had a good run last week at Michigan. And he's been able to work his way up almost out of the top 30, or into the top 30, I should say, in the point standings. Benjamin Miles right now in 14th. He's under fire from Levi McIntyre in the 99. Chris Dollerton up inside the top 20 right now in 16th. Matthew Rodriguez right now in 17th. Yepez 18th. There is Jordan Lopez, last week's winner, the only two-time winner in the field. Right now he's in 19th with Carter Friesen currently completing your top 20. As we move back up closer to the front of the field, we've had a lead change. D Poteet has gone to the front, and now he's under fire from Zach Rogers. I think that they might have been a little bit hindered by the 9 of Ryan Brommer, who just went a lap down. He might have actually caused a little bit of a slow up for these race leaders, and might have been why Poteet got the lead from Seth Cole, and now why Zach Rogers is getting the lead from D Poteet. Remember, Brommer is a teammate to the 6. I have to say, though, I've been really impressed with the Dodge Challenger drivers. I mean, the odds coming into each race of them having a chance of winning is pretty much each week about a 5% chance that a Challenger is going to go to victory lane. And yet, the two Challengers have really been consistent here in the first 9 races of the season. Zach Rogers, 3rd in the points. Ryan Brommer, 9th in the points coming into this race. So, you got to think it's just a matter of time before they go to victory lane. And right now, as I stated, Zach Rogers got a strong car. He's worked his way into the top 10 now to the race lead since we went back green. Now he'll put our Manassas winner, Jose Millz, down a lap. Millz currently scored in 33rd. We mentioned last week he had a runner-up finish to Jordan Lopez. That moved him back into the top 30 in the point standings. He is 24th in the points coming into this race, and I think he had about 10 points between himself and 30th in the standings coming into this race. 33rd place run right now. I don't know if that would drop him back outside the top 30 or not. Seems like just when Jose Millz gets a good run to get himself back in the top 30, he then gets 2 or 3 bad races that put him back outside of the top 30. So Jose's got to string together some really good, he's got to string together good, consistent performances if he's going to keep himself in the hunt for a potential playoff spot. Rogers with the lead. D Poteet trying to run him down. Now D Poteet has a victory at a mile-long racetrack, but that mile-long racetrack was covered in dirt back at Springfield. Let's see if he gains or loses ground on Zach Rogers. That last time by, they basically ran the exact same lap time. Rogers ran a 27.055, Poteet ran a 0.99. So about 4 100ths off. Ryan Acosta running there in 3rd. You've got all 4 manufacturers up inside the top 4. A Dodge leading a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota. With Seth Cole there in 4th, and he's trying to see if he can challenge Ryan Acosta for the 3rd position. Not seeing as much passing going on right now. I think the tire rubber is starting to go away. Might have a battle here for 5th. Carson Gum has it. William Brock wants it. Tell you what, William Brock, after getting that victory at Sonoma, boy, he has really turned up the heat in terms of good finishing positions. I mean, you look back at his last 3 races. You got Sonoma where he won. You got last week at Michigan where he finished in 8th, and he's running up inside the top 10 again here today. So William Brock really doing well, and he's been really the most consistent of the Northeast Motorsports drivers here this season as well. LaPlante's been good. He's 15th in the points coming to this race, but it seems like just when he gets back into the top 10, he then drops out of the top 10. LaPlante was up in the top 10 in points, I believe, heading into, I think it was Springfield, and then he dropped down, and now he had a decent run last week in Michigan, so he's 15th in points. Another driver that's out of Northeast Motorsports that's actually not too far back in the standings, 19th in the points, Ryan Butcher. And he's up inside the top 10 right now behind Jack Mitchell. So Ryan Butcher might be getting his season turned around. And Jack Mitchell, we mentioned last week, was his best career finish, 3rd place run at Michigan. Well, that managed to move him into the top 30 in the point standings for, I believe, the first time this season. 27th in the points coming into this race. I think he was the biggest gainer in points last week besides Jose Millz. Millz gained 9 spots and Mitchell gained 8. Both of them with their good runs moving into the top 30 in points as they make their way around points leader Jesse Turner, and I say that with air quotes, as Turner right now running in the 32nd position, now 1 lap down. Zach Rogers has been able to put a little bit more daylight between himself and Dylan Poteet since we last watched the interval between the two of them. Rogers has been able to gap Poteet by another 2/10. And I'm not exactly sure what the fuel window is here. Bear in mind that nobody has really been to pit road here under that caution. So it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys end up. Got damage there on K Mathews. Not sure where that came from. I don't know if he was involved in the wreck and I didn't see it or not. But it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys decide to stay out and get track position. Wow, Michael Norman dropped like a rock. He restarted inside of the... Or actually, he restarted when we went back green. He restarted as the race leader. And now, on lap 31, he's all the way back in the 25th position. So I don't know if they didn't have that car set up for the long run or what. But the handling really went away on that race car, it certainly seems. M McIntire going into turn 1. Zach Rogers just now entering into turn 3. So I don't think we're going to have... Actually, no, Rogers entered into turn 1 as well. Where is McIntire? He is coming out of 4. Rogers going into 3. Oh, well, okay, never mind. So Rogers may be closing in on more traffic in just a moment here. And this is a track that, as we mentioned, is not very long. It's only a mile in length, a little over a mile. So if we end up having green flag pit stops and that pit road merge off turn 2, enter in turn 3 with the access roads thing I was talking about, if we end up having drivers that pit and we end up having a caution take place in the middle of those pit stops, that is really going to jumble up the field. And you gotta wonder if that's in the back of these drivers' minds. Do I try and stay out as long as I can in case that caution comes out? That way I make sure I guarantee I'm gonna stay on the lead lap, because drivers come to pit road sooner and basically force the hand of everybody else to have to come to pit road. They're risking the chance that a caution is going to come out. They'll be trapped a lap down. And what could have been a really good run is going to end up being a very poor performance and definitely not a finish resulting in really how strong the race car was. I'm talking of a strong race car. That is Zach Rogers. Now almost a full second gap back to Dylan Poteet, who now is under fire from R Acosta. Seth Cole still runs in 4th, and here come the pit stops. Carson Gum is going to be the first one, pitting from the 5th position. William Brock's coming in as well. So now it's going to get interesting. This is just a bit past the halfway point. Actually, this is... Is this the halfway point? Well, not quite. We're a little past the halfway point. And Zach Rogers going to give up the lead. He's going to come to pit road. Looks like R Acosta's coming as well. That'll turn the race lead over now to Dylan Poteet. And I'm going to be keeping my eyes on the caution lights to see if we do manage to get through this round of green flag pit stops without anybody wrecking each other. Ryan Butcher stayed out. Levi McIntire, Matt Haas, they all stayed out. That's what I'm talking about right there. Poteet coming to pit lane. That was Mathews leaving pit road. And that was close. James Shelly stayed out. He's coming in. Miles, Sandfer. Let's follow the 19 of Carson Gum, as I believe everybody that needed to pit just came to pit road. So I don't think anybody else has stayed out. We're still green. And Carson Gum was the first driver to hit pit road from the 5th position. Let's see where he cycles out in relation to the 6 of Zach Rogers. There's Seth Cole coming off pit lane ahead of Carson Gum. Austin LaPlante, who's a lap down, comes out ahead of him. R Acosta managed to come out ahead of him, and there is Zach Rogers. Ryan Acosta, he's not too far back from the 6, so it may come down between Rogers and Acosta for the race lead. And Dylan Poteet, yeah, he's not going to cycle around in second, that's for sure. He's going to lose second to Ryan Acosta. He may lose third here to Seth Cole. Yeah, he will. Gets held up behind the slower car of Ryan Brommer, and this could be a little bit scary coming off this corner. Oh, don't go 4 wide. Yikes. Carson Gum sticking his nose in there. And are we under caution? Nope, we're still green. Never mind. This is a battle right here for the 3rd position. Actually, it's a battle for 4th. J Jefferson, remember he made that unscheduled stop? Well, right now he's scored in 3rd, although I think he's probably going to have to hit pit road before this race is over. I think he's praying for a caution right now. So Zach Rogers re-inherits the lead. Ryan Acosta now moves into 2nd. And remember Ryan Acosta, he was getting ready to challenge Dylan Poteet for 2nd place when the pit stops began. So I wonder if he's got a strong enough car to get up there and battle with Zach Rogers for the race lead. We're getting close to 20 laps to go. Got J Millz and V Almariego just up ahead of the race leader Zach Rogers, so that's going to probably slow him up a bit. Let's see if the gap increased or decreased. It decreased by 4/100ths. And I think J Jefferson may have, well, no, he didn't head for pit road, but the older tires definitely hindering his speed. He might be pitting this time. Yep, here he comes. So backmarker Motorsports drivers 3rd and 4th, Seth Cole and Carson Gum. Poteet now in 5th. 6th would be Jack Mitchell. 7th is William Brock. I'm going to wait till they cross the line here so I can update it. There we go. Matt Haas right now is in 8th. 9th is Levi McIntyre. Ryan Butcher currently completes your top 10. Chris Dollerton up there in 11th. I think this could end up being Chris Dollerton's possibly first top 10 finish of the season, if he can get up there to Ryan Butcher. 12th place is Wyatt Quail. Matthew Rodriguez is 13th. 14th is Diego Yepez. 15th is J Shelly. He kind of faded back there on those pit stops. 16th place is currently Jessica Shelton. Charles Sandfer is in 17th. 18th is Jordan Lopez. His teammate T Wright is 19th. And completing the top 20 is Dylan Young. 21st is Benjamin Miles. 22nd, Johnny Gardner. 23rd is Carter Friesen. 24th, Julius Anderson. Michael Norman, the pole sitter, all the way back in 25th. 26th is James Qualls. 27th is Trent Dunham. 28th place is Keith Batson. 29th is Kyle Mathews. And he is now the last car on the lead lap. 30th position just got lapped, V Almariego. So he's the first car 1 lap down. We'll use our ticker to document the rest of who's off the lead lap. LaPlante 31st, 1 lap down. 32nd, J Jefferson, we saw just have to hit pit road. Points leader Jesse Turner 33rd. And then 2 laps down, and 34th is J Millz. 35th is Matt McIntire, and 36th is Ryan Brommer. Only 4 cars out of the race after our first and only caution so far back on lap 1. And Zach Rogers continues to lead. Ryan Acosta made his way around V Almariego, and both cars seem to be somewhat the same in terms of speed. Acosta had a little bit more difficulty getting around the 42, and he lost another 0.2 to Zach. These drivers should be good to go on fuel now. It just comes down to, I think, the slower traffic and who's got the best car. Well, Zach Rogers, we know, has the best long-run car. Based on how he was able to cut his way through the field, he restarted outside of the top 10, worked his way up to the race lead, and nobody was able to challenge him after that. So I think this is basically right now his race to lose. Ryan Acosta's got a somewhat decent long-run car as well, as he was able to work his way from 5th up to a battle for 2nd before we had those pit stops. But I think that the 6 is just a tick quicker than he is. Let's compare lap times this time around, as the gap still remains about 0.6 of a second, and it still stays around the same. Zach Rogers with a 26.846, and it's an 8.85 for Ryan Acosta. So yeah, he's just a little bit slower. They're now closing in on Kyle Mathews, who's in 29th, last car on the lead lap, our Bristol race winner. Zach Rogers going to catch him here on a straightaway, which is the best place to catch traffic. And he will get to the inside easily going down here into turn number 1. That time by, he was just a couple hundredths better than Ryan Acosta again. And we'll see where Ryan Acosta catches this 09. He might catch him in a corner, and if he does, that's going to slow him up just a little bit more. Now I think he will get him here on the straightaway. Or will he? I don't know if he's going to have enough momentum to get to the inside going down here to turn 1. And, ooh, K Mathews kind of pinched him down there. I don't know if he had to lift more than he wanted to or not, but Ryan Acosta, it's going to cost him a little bit of ground to Rogers. Next car that they would encounter would be the points leader Jesse Turner. Seth Cole still riding in third. D Poteet managed to get around Carson Gum for fourth. Now making the pass on the lap machine of V Almariego. There's Carson now in the 5th position. Jack Mitchell looking for his 2nd straight top 10 finish of the season at season 6th. Matt Haas up there in 7th. Ryan Butcher there in 8th, and this is the best battle on track just inside the top 10. Levi McIntire, J Shelly, William Brock all in this fight for the 9th position. Got a couple of lap cars in this mix as well. LaPlante in the 48, Matt McIntire in the 7. As Shelly now drives it low, this is for 9th. Looks like he'll have the advantage through this corner. Chris Dollerton up in this group as well, currently in the 12th position. Shelly will take 9th. Make that Levi McIntire drops back to 10th place now. Further up, battle for 5th. Jack Mitchell going to make the pass on Carson Gum, as Carson had a little bit of difficulty with V Almariego. And Carson's going to be in trouble here. He's going to lose 5th to Mitchell, 6th to Haas. And now here comes Ryan Butcher looking for 7th. It's like Carson Gum's tires are going away here in the closing stages as he's losing some pretty good speed through the corners. Zach Rogers now closing in on the 47 of Jesse Turner. Going to put him another lap down. Turner was already 1 lap down. He'll now go -2. Ryan Acosta still staying within striking distance of Zach Rogers, but he's not really gaining anything. He gained a little bit that time because Rogers had a little bit of difficulty passing the 47, but Zach Rogers has been doing a pretty good job, though, in where he encounters and passes the slower machines. Next car I don't think he'll have much difficulty with, because that'll be his teammate Ryan Brommer. Well, so far this season, we had a Chevy win the Daytona 500. Next 3 races were won by Fords. Next 4 races were won by Chevys. Last week's race was run by a Ford. And it looks like maybe, just maybe, for the first time this season, Dodge is going to break into the win column with Zach Rogers in the 6th. Ryan Acosta continuing to keep less than a second between himself and Zach Rogers, but he keeps losing little by little each lap, and he may, in the next couple of laps, find himself outside of a second behind. This time by is about just a little under 9/10 of a second back. And if he is going to challenge Zach Rogers for this race lead, he has got to start cutting into the deficit because time is running out. He cannot continue to hold a status quo between himself and Rogers. Ryan Brommer moves high out of the way of his teammate. And now you got to wonder if maybe Ryan Brommer is going to do the best he can to hold up Ryan Acosta and ensure that his teammate's going to get this victory. Here comes Acosta, and well, Ryan Brommer tried to force him down there, tried to pinch him down, and he may have succeeded in slowing the momentum that Ryan Acosta had going into turn 3. See if the gap increases, decreases, and it increased by about 5/100ths. Next time by, Zach Rogers will be seeing 4 laps to go. Next car he would have to deal with would be J Millz coming off turn 4 now as Rogers enters turn 3. I don't think Rogers is really going to have any difficulty with any more traffic. Let's see if there's any brewing battles late in this race. Yes, there is. D Poteet has reeled in Seth Cole for third. This battle as they go around the slower car of Ryan Brommer. M Haas has worked his way up now to fifth. He got around Jack Mitchell for the spot, and J Shelly's been charging up here late as well. He's now in sixth. He was outside the top 10 just a few moments ago. Mitchell and Butcher in a battle for seventh as they make their way around slower traffic. Carson Gum has slipped back to ninth. And right now, Levi McIntyre completes your top 10. Charles Sandfer has jumped up to 11th. So he's come on strong late in this one. Here's a battle for 12th between Shelton, Dollerton, and William Brock. Matthew Rodriguez up inside the top 15 now as he's going to go for 14th on William Brock. So some late chargers here for sure. And I don't know if it's a result of drivers' tire wear kicking up here in the closing stages, or if it's the fact of where the traffic has been encountered, the slower traffic. But regardless of the fact, got some drivers that looked like they were going to be finishing outside the top 15. Now they're going to finish up inside the top 15, some of them inside the top 10. This battle for third still going on between Seth Cole and D Poteet, but Zach Rogers is about to see the white flag. One more lap to go here at Pikes Peak International. Third in the points coming into this race. 21 points back from Jordan Lopez, 39 points back from Jesse Turner. Turner is 2 laps down. Lopez is not anywhere up inside the top 15. Zach Rogers trying to take over the points lead here today, and he will get his first checkered flag of the season as well. He takes the win here today in the Peak Performance Motor Oil 400 at Pikes Peak International Raceway, and it is the Dodge Challenger's first win of the season. Now, Rogers coming into this race, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s in the first 9 races of the season, and a pole. And he can now put a 1 in the win column as well, and at this point in time, it's looking like he is definitely going to be a contender in this season's chase for the championship. So Zach Rogers will become the 9th different race winner this season. Ryan Acosta had a strong car, and I think if Zach Rogers wasn't in the field, Ryan Acosta would have won this race because he had, I think, the second fastest car on the track. He will finish in second, though. Third place will be Seth Cole, D Poteet in fourth. J Shelly brings it home fifth. 3 of the back Marcus Motorsports cars finishing up inside the top 10. That's a rare thing for them. M Haas will finish in sixth. His good finish continues. Same for Mitchell, who finishes in seventh. Ryan Butcher will bring it home in eighth. There's Carson Gum in ninth. And completing the top 10 was Levi McIntyre. Good run for both of the Rock and Ranch racing cars, too. McIntyre in 10th and Dollerton there in 13th. Retro Racing Enterprises 11th and 12th with Sandfer and Shelton. Matthew Rodriguez brings it home in 14th. William Brock 15th. And then look at the rest of the top 20 there as well. Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Diego Yepez, T Wright, and Trent Dunham. We really didn't talk about any of them during the course of today's event. Jordan Lopez, who came in this race second in the point standings, 2-time winner, is going to finish in 21st. And Rogers was only 21 points back behind him. So just in finishing results, I think Zach Rogers is going to pass him in the point standings. He's obviously going to get those 5 bonus points for winning today's race as well. And he came into this race 39 points behind Jesse Turner. So he would need to have Turner finish in, I believe, let me see if I can do the calculations here real quick. 39 points back. He would need to have Turner finish in, let's see, 39th, add the 7 points. Yeah, I think he would need to have Turner finish somewhere around 35th or worse, and Turner finished in 34th. So it's going to be close between Rogers and Turner. I think that Zach Rogers is going to take the points lead over with those 5 bonus points for winning, but I'm not 100% certain. You can see down here we had 28 cars finish on the lead lap. J Qualls, the last of those. K Mathews was the first car lap down. He finished off the lead lap with Almariego, LaPlante, Jefferson, McIntire, Turner, Millz, and Brommer. And then 4 cars finished out of the race back on lap 1, our only caution of the day. Adam Garcia, Benny Watson, Cole Baker, and Mitchell Collins. But that is going to do it here today from our race from Pikes Peak International. Zach Rogers gets Dodge Challenger, their first win of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race. If you did, be sure to hit like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. Next week, we're going to be seeing them fanning out 3 and 4 wide at Kentucky Speedway. That track always brings about great racing and usually ends up coming down to fuel strategy as well. So you're not going to want to miss that as we draw ever closer to All-Star Race Weekend. Till then, though, I've been Seth Cole. You have seen your full finishing results. These are your point standings heading into Kentucky next week, and you have been watching a production of the NCRA Offline Racing at its best. We will see you guys next week.